Nice picture, Kevin. Oh, there's the real Kevin. Hi, Jim.
Good evening. How you doing, Becky?
I'm good.
Hey, Kevin.
There.
I hope my connection should be okay. I'm visiting with some friends, so looks like everything's working all right here.
You look
So-
fine.
Perfect. Volume's good, everything.
Yeah. Good.
Good evening.
Good evening, Susie. Hi, George.
Everyone.
Hi, George, Susie.
Yep.
Looks like Bob. Bob is there. Hi, Bob.
Hi. Can I ask the chair for permission to put the Red Sox game on one of these squares?
Hey, maybe Bob, maybe if we work really hard, really fast, we can
Yeah, I
catch,
think we're motivated tonight.
we can catch most of the game. We really hustle.
Good. I'm all for that.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's Melody and AJ?
Here's Melody.
Now AJ's a Yankee fan, so he might try to slow us down.
Oh.
We're gonna work on him.
Yeah, we got to watch out. Yeah, he's in Massachusetts now. What's his problem?
Yeah, come on.
Oh, he has some good friends, though.
He works in New York.
And Al Springer, another big Yankees fan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
All right.
unfortunately, when you go to a Fenway Red Sox Yankee game at Fenway Park, half the stadium is Yankee fans. I've
Huh?
experienced it myself.
Here comes
Absolutely.
Bob.
All right, we're ready.
All right. AJ, you're rooting for the Red Sox now, right?
Yeah, right.
AJ, I was
Sit up.
listening. You're in good company. There's some
Yeah.
Elaine Palaio's a Yankees fan and some others.
All right, good. And we got
All
Nick
right.
Celtics tonight too, so there you
Yeah,
go.
that's right. Good
All
point.
right. All right. We're gonna call meeting to order.
That's good.
We got the full group. All right. Minutes from our last meeting.
Yeah, I have one correction already that Susie sent me that definitely tracked with my memory of the meeting. So I think it was just an error in my notes. So it's to item 1N, which was the actual vote results on the motion to approve the fire station parking lot. So that was, and maybe folks can confirm here, that vote was 4-1 with 1 abstention. I believe Bob voted no on that and Jim abstained on that vote. So I think that was an error in the original notes. Is that right, Bob?
Yep.
Jim, does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I've just changed my draft here to reflect that.
Okay, so that'll say motion passes.
Yeah, it's going to say motion passes 4-1 with 1 abstention. BG votes no, JH abstains. in
Okay.
parentheses.
All right, along the same lines, the next item down.
Yeah.
It says unanimously, and then it says 4-1.
Good, Pat. Good point. All right.
Um,
All removed unanimously.
So I don't remember whether, was it a similar
It
vote?
was-
Four-
It was
4-1?
4-1. Bob, I think, was out for that meeting, so I think that's why he abstained.
But nobody would have voted against the minutes. Did somebody vote against the minutes?
Yeah, you're right.
I abstained because I was not
Yeah,
present.
yeah. I'm sorry. You're right. It passes unanimously 4-0 with 1 abstention.
Or was it 5-0?
1, 2,
George
3.
wasn't there.
Yeah, it would be 5-0.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
right.
it was 5-0. Yep, you're right.
Math was one of my
Thank you for that.
highlights. Okay.
That's
It's
important to the
supposed to
finance
be
committee.
everybody's.
Mm.
Yeah, don't You don't want me as your scorekeeper, apparently, for your pickup basketball game or something.
Yeah, well, certainly not for a Red Sox game.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Melody,
Yeah, just one thing, and I don't know if I'm wrong on this, but on item 4G, AJ? where I
4G,
asked
did
for-
you say?
4G.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked for that clarification, and it doesn't say here, maybe it's not supposed to, but Becky had responded that it was aspirational.
Okay, I'll just add a note about that.
anyone else have any possible changes? Okay, and did Bob, you made a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve them as amended, with the latest amendment included, amendment included.
Somebody want a second?
Second.
All right. And
I abstain. Arvanitis abstain.
Artier, aye.
Grove's eye.
Hemingway, aye.
Cashew, aye.
Mosier, aye.
Walton, aye.
George, I missed you at the last meeting because I had to go first.
You're a little slow on the start, huh?
Yeah,
That'd be 6-0 with one abstention.
Okay, next item we have here is expense report review. Actually, do we want to, okay,
Yeah.
Kevin's with us. Do we want to
Yeah.
cover the
Let's move forward.
Sounds good.
valuation update with Kevin first, so we don't tie Kevin up?
Good idea.
Of
Yes.
course, Kevin, you're welcome to join us with all these other items, including expense reports.
No, I haven't eaten dinner yet tonight, so no, I don't mind going first.
Okay. So, yeah, Kevin, thanks for joining us. I think from, at least from my perspective, we had talked some weeks ago, going through the revenue side of our, the budget, that there might be some updated information around now or in the last week or so regarding valuations.
Yeah, I don't have the new values certified yet by the Department of Revenue, but I can give you a pretty close approximation of where we're going. For fiscal 21, our total valuation was 236.4 million. And it looks like we're going to increase that by about 6.5 million for fiscal 22.
Increasing by how much was that, Kevin?
6.5 million to somewhere around, I just
42.9.
had it written down.
42.9,
Point nine.
Brent, yeah,
242.
0.9.
242.9. Yeah, it may go up just a hair, but I get real skittish until the Department of Revenue approves it. But they're actually getting submitted on Friday of this week. I just got personal property finished, and that's the last thing, and I'll be sending them in. But we're not going lower than 242.9. We may go a hair higher. So that's up 6.5 million. And given what we appropriated at the town meeting, that's a tax rate drop somewhere between, I'd say, 75 and 80 cents. But I hesitate, again, saying that until the values are approved and we plug them into all the other things on the recap sheet. But at a straight, just a straight division, we're somewhere around 75 to 80 cent drop in the tax rate, which is expected when values go up.
Yeah.
And if you read your Our Town, we managed to, despite the huge COVID increase in values, we managed to soften the blow by going back a couple of years on every class of house, which got us down from probably a 12 or 13% increase in values on most homes to 6%. And I'm going to try to do that again next year because this calendar year is worse than last year for sales. But
When you say, Kevin, when you say worse than, what does that mean, worse than last year?
the sale prices above assessments are much higher this calendar year than last year. For fiscal 22, we use calendar 20 sales and before. So for fiscal 23, we'll be using calendar 21 sales, and there's a greater gap in the between the assessment and the sales. The sales are still trending much higher than the assessments.
Okay, yeah, Bob.
Kevin, can I ask you a question? You said that we had about 6.1% increase in valuations for fiscal year for this data.
6% on single family houses.
Right, because I see that the actual total valuation went up only 2.7%. So why is that a disparity? What does that mean?
Some things went down in personal property. Commercials flat, not going up with what little we have. That's basically it.
You had a couple properties also fall out, did you not?
We had a couple fall out that don't come back in until fiscal 23. There's three houses under construction around the lake where they were torn down, so they disappeared. And we don't capture the majority of that until fiscal 23. So they're gone. I'm just trying to remember each and every one of them in my head. That's majority of it, and we had some personal property drop out because of the recession. We had several home-based businesses that are no longer with us.
Yeah.
And they all contributed. But it's actually good not to rise dramatically, to tell you the truth.
I agree completely.
The hardest thing assessors around the state are having, and I was on a 2-hour conference call with Hamden and Hampshire County Assessors Association today, is really flattening out the increases in calendar 20 and 21 so that the residents don't really get whacked this year and next year. And we're all sharing how we're doing it so that everybody's trying to keep this to a minimum increase. Some towns and cities look for the maximum increase they can get. We're mindful of the taxpayers and we're trying to keep the increases, as low as we legally can. Susie.
Another aspect of it is individual values that go up. Those people will be more affected, but everybody's tax rate will go down because of those increased values. Is that right?
Yes, but because we had increases across all styles of houses, just about everybody is going to go up this year, whether we like it or not. And land values are going up across the board. And then don't forget, the state raised the values of the Chapter 60 forest land, 61 forest property, and 61A farmland property that we could charge. So they all went up slightly. But again, we've had parcels drop out. We had a couple more go into chapter land than we had last year. So it's, I could do an analysis, which I'll probably do when we get ready for the classification hearing, of what changed from last year. I mean, as far as I know, we have one new house. And 3 houses lost. Some things that we hoped would materialize didn't yet. Although we have a big, healthy pipeline of growth going forward for next year.
Jim.
We have the balance on 3 new houses. You're probably talking $200,000 per house coming in next year in new growth. things like that.
Kevin, how about the cell tower that's, I guess, is in this being constructed as we speak, perhaps?
They have not, as far as last week, they hadn't taken out a building permit.
Oh, really? I thought that was sort of motoring along. It was supposed to be in June that they're going to have something up, but
I know Becky saw they were working on the power lines to it.
Yeah, Jim, what I reported last week was that I had talked to Rob Williams, who's the National Grid designer, and he was at the cell tower site, and they were planning how to run power to it. And given our current experience, it could be a year off if that's where they're at.
Okay.
Hopefully a few months, but National Grid is really slow.
Interesting enough, despite 3 letters from my office, they failed to renew the chapter land, the chapter 61B on that property. And 3 warnings is all we give. And the last warning reminded them, if we don't get it by the end of the year, that comes out of chapter land starting July 1. And, you know, they were talking about only taking a 50 by 50 square foot piece and then the road to it out of chapter land. And, you know, I'm sorry, but it's not my job to hold people's hands. So
Sure. So the cell tower is going on what is presently or was presently 61B land. That's what you're saying?
yes, what they plan to do, when I talked to the lawyer way back in early February, when they finally bought the property, a subsidiary, a landholding subsidiary of the tower company bought the property. And the plan was they just wanted to take a 50 by 50 square foot patch where the tower will be and the little transmission boxes. They were going to take that out of 61B. And I told them, well, you also have to take the road out going to it.
Sure.
Which on the plan submitted to the planning board is 10 feet wide. And as soon as they cut it, I'll be up measuring it.
Don't we get, if you dump 61B and sort of go commercial, which is essentially what's happening, don't we get back
5-year
taxes? Yeah, a big rollback of 3 years, 5 years?
5-year rollback.
5-year rollback. That's what I thought.
I already have it calculated sitting in the office.
Good.
50 by 50. I'm waiting for the road, but you know, they may come and renew it. I do know they've been held up dramatically in other sites around the state by COVID and just getting people out there. For those of you who don't realize it, there's a tremendous shortage of tradespeople right now and materials. Some building sites that I know of can't get basic items ordered. You know, there's like 4 or 5 month wait.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the technology is in short supply too, including fiber cable that works. It's pretty tight right now. So that's probably slowing them down too.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting, though we don't have a tower, just as a side note on towers, because we may get T-Mobile on that at some point, is T-Mobile bought. Which one did they buy? I can't remember who they bought, but T-Mobile is
Did they buy Sprint?
Yes, they bought Sprint.
No.
T-Mobile is decommissioning everything prior to 4th generation. So for instance, in my other town of Holliston, the personal property is dropping by 2/3. They're decommissioning all of Sprint's equipment, and then anything before the 4th generation, so the 2nd and 3rd generations, they're decommissioning and scrapping the equipment and only going with the 5G and the 4G. So be glad we don't have somebody, because we'd be having a drop right now.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping as soon as they start building that thing that we get at least 2 or 3 carriers. Because again, the tower is very little money. It's the carriers that give us the bucks.
Yeah, well, let's see, and also the equipment that's put into those sheds. And I know I've asked you about this before about
but that's
how much
all about carriers.
Yeah.
Where's the tower going to be?
It's on
Up Wendell Road.
It's off Wendell Road. It was it was owned by,
Greenbaum?
yeah, whatever his, he keeps changing titles of his companies now. I mean, he's flipped on 212 Wendell, which is still for sale. The mustard colored house, he's flipped the name of the company that owns it. Used to be Historical Enterprises, now it's something else.
Wow, so we're gonna have great cell signal in town.
No, it's not for us. No,
Oh.
it's just, it's not going to give us any benefit whatsoever.
It
It's for this
depends on who-
network.
It depends on who puts, what carriers go on it.
If they start renting space to other carriers, but the initial service that's going to be on it is for emergency network,
It's 18,
yeah,
it's an AT&T emergency network where
Yeah.
AT&T got a national contract from the feds. And they have to put cell towers up to cover the whole country.
yeah,
And what it is if you're a public safety official and there's an emergency, your specially enabled AT&T phone, which everybody will be getting in public safety, will override anyone else's signal. And the best example I can give people is if you remember the bombing at the Boston Marathon, or let's put it this way, you're at the Red Sox game last night and everybody's taking pictures and sending them and making comment. If there were a major public safety emergency at that game, only the public safety officials' phones would get through for quite a while. It blocks everyone else's signal. So they're first, but again, Vertex, can sell that to any other carrier and we have a big blank.
Is what-
So I'm still hoping we get a couple of carriers. Just
Mhm.
AT&T alone could be, the cell equipment ranges from 200,000 on up. So I'm looking at, the tower itself, the land value is peanut. I mean, the tower, you're lucky if you get $18,000 of value. But, one carrier, you might get 200, 250, 300,000
sure.
value on it.
Isn't you said all they need is 50 by 50 because they're just putting up a tower, but don't we sort of see that, or don't you sort of see that as a house lot or
Nope.
a value of a house lot? Well, then
Nope.
how do you judge the value of 50 by 50? Is something significantly less than that?
Well, it's going to be bigger because we're going to have the road, and according to the
Yeah,
planning
the road.
board, the plans they submitted are 10 feet, are 10 feet wide, and you got to figure how far back they bury this. So they buried 100 feet. You got another 1,000 square feet or whatever you got. You just keep going back. So the road itself might be worth more than the land, and all of it goes from vanilla land or residential land to land with a commercial purpose, which carries a higher value than residential land.
Okay. So is it done on a per square foot basis? I'm just curious.
It will be done on a per square foot basis.
Okay. All right.
And what we will do is we're going to bring in, I'm going to bring in a guy who's an expert at valuing cell property, and they'll value the equipment and they'll give us a good value for the land because you got to do it right up front. And do it in a way that, it sticks and doesn't get appealed.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's where we are in values is we're up about 6.5 million. I think that's pretty good, just, because a lot of the economy was at a standstill during that time period. And we still went up and we know the rate's going down. And I'm hoping that by this time next week, the DOR is signed off, because once they sign off, we can plug the rest of the data into their forms and we'll know where we stand and have our classification hearing. And they've been moving, the DOR has been moving very fast this year on approvals.
Okay, so Kevin, you earlier said that you would be feeding the data into the system on Friday or by Friday?
On Friday, yeah.
And then there's some steps that happen after that before it's finalized?
Well, you guys probably don't realize is every step of the way the DOR approves everything. There's about 18 forms submitted by the accountant and myself, and the DOR has to approve all of them before the rate gets set. So right now, the only thing that's in and I believe approved, is our sales for 20 and before. We'll have the values going in. As soon as the values are accepted, we can put the new growth in. As soon as those two are accepted, we go to what's called the LA5 form and lay that out. And then we lay out the tax recapitulation sheet, also known as the recap. And that is primarily laid out by Gail Weissman, myself, and the town clerk has to sign one page. And that, when that is finally accepted, we have a rate. But for the classification hearing, I need 3 things accepted. Gail needs about 5. Most of hers are in, but they all interlock. So what happens is we submit online through something called Gateway. Each time we submit a form and they accept it, the numbers flow through to the forms we need to set the rate. And, I'm hoping the end of next week, we should be there. I mean, we've been shooting for earlier this year than last year, but even if we get the classification hearing in early November, we're 2 or 3 weeks ahead of last year. That just makes it easier for Ellen to play with the tax bills and make sure they're all accurate and get out by December 31st.
Okay, so right now your expectation is that the classification hearing would happen by early November, just based on what you see going on right now.
There's a November 6th select board meeting, right, Becky?
And it might be the 9th.
Okay, I'm trying to get on that agenda. I just, once they accept the values, I can give Becky and say, set it. Because that's the thing they question. They go back over. I don't think you guys realize the depth of intrusion by the DOR into what we do. It's, I'll just give you an example. 5 years ago, to submit new growth, you'd say to the DOR, yeah, we had $1 million worth of new growth. And they said, fine. Now we have a spreadsheet filled out where we have to list every house, the parcel number, the geographic ID code, what they built. And it's not enough to say added a deck. We have to say 16 by 14 Trex deck or wooden deck. And we spent the last 3 years arguing with them over what they accept and don't. They believe that, for instance, they don't accept a wood stove as growth because in their eyes, people can move a wood stove from one house to another, even though most of the wood stoves I've seen in this town require 3 or 4 people to carry in. So we literally have to submit a spreadsheet of every single item that we're claiming for new growth, where it is. If it came from the DOR central list like Verizon does, and as new growth, I have to put down, source your list, your central list. And that takes hours and hours to do every year. And then they either question it or approve it. We've all had them come back and say, I don't believe that deck is worth that much. And you have to justify it. Or they say, why did that house sell for $400,000 more than it was assessed for? Explain that. Two years ago, we had a woman deliberately overpay by $100,000 for a house on Gaslight Lane in the lake. In order to get the tax rate set, I had to get a signed letter from her saying that she deliberately overpaid to get that house, or we couldn't get the rate set. So there's a lot of machinations behind the scenes you guys never see that the DOR wants.
Yeah, I would think what you just described, Kevin, that must be a fairly common phenomenon right now in the state, I would think.
It is
not unique to us. Us here, I would think that's going to be pretty common.
No, the trick is you try to call like I have my own rep at the Division of Local Services, and then there's another one we deal with once she approves everything at the Bureau of Accounts, and I'm on the phone probably every other day right now with my rep, telling her what's coming. Look at last year. What questions can I answer in advance? Things like that. And when you have frequent communication, it tends to get things done quicker. I don't know if you remember, but last year they actually came back right after we had the classification hearing. We had to hold another one a week later because they raised our values. They claim we undervalued something even though we took the value from them. So yeah, it's something everybody goes through, but you just muddle through it and get there.
Yeah.
As long as we get the bills on time, which is if Ellen McKay has bills in her hands by after December 15th, she's happy.
Mhm.
Some towns go right down to the wire, but we'll get there. It only takes a day or two to print the bills. So the key thing is, we get the rate set. As soon as the rate's set, I generate the file for Ellen. Ellen runs a trial billing file. We look at that and then we send it to the billing company. So, we're about 3 weeks ahead of where we were last year right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kevin.
Any other? I was just gonna say, any other questions before I go eat?
Anything else for Kevin? Okay, Kevin, thanks very much for,
Happy to be here. Just, whenever you need me, just call.
right.
Thanks,
Have
Kevin.
a good night. Okay, back to expense reports. I think we have one that's dated October 10. Does that sound right? October 10, an expense report
Who'd it come from? From Becky?
from Becky.
Yeah, from Becky.
I have it.
I don't think I have that either.
I don't.
Hmm?
Yeah, I don't.
I don't either.
It's
Oh, no.
not labeled October 10 on the top?
Oh, no, but what was the date it was
Came on
sent?
9:30.
Oh, I'm not sure what day it was sent.
Okay,
9:30.
9:30, okay.
Oh, I see,
Yeah,
yeah, 9:30.
That's the one.
Okay.
Yep, I got it.
But the top of the report, it talks about from July 1st to October 10th?
Yep,
That's it.
Okay.
no problems. No surprises.
Has Becky disappeared? She ran away?
I'm sorry, but somebody said, what was the date that we received that? Did somebody?
30th of
The
September.
30th September.
Okay.
Becky,
Yeah,
I just see on page 1, the legal expense, 6%. Like in that, so is that going to stick? Is that going to stay level or what? For the past. Oh,
I love your question, Bob. Let's go with your thought. Let's hope, well, I've been doing a lot of praying about different things lately.
yeah,
If
that's
we're
great to
lucky,
see that. It's great to see that for a change.
Yeah,
Usually it's the other way around, right?
if the permits come, if the NRAD solar permits come through, that could change very quickly. We have a couple other smaller issues, but yeah, right now things are pretty quiet. So let's keep our fingers crossed that it holds steady.
On page 4, that transfer to capital we talked about last time, Jim Hemingway brought up, I think. He said you're going to get a more detailed explanation of that line. So on page
Yeah,
4,
and,
993.
okay, and she did go through it and we found everything that was involved and it all came off pretty much came off this list. Let me just back into it again. I'm sorry I didn't keep my note, but I think I can back into it if we go on to.
I'm sorry, which line are we on here, Bob? Or Becky?
It's the last line on page 4, transfer to trust
Trust
fund.
fund.
Okay. Yeah. And the question was, how was that with that 50,000 that was spent or?
This is an account that where Gail takes all the activity from the warrant, the annual town meeting warrant, when we spend money, and she runs it through the trust fund. So it goes in here and then gets allocated to all the other accounts. So it's like a clearinghouse account.
So if I'm to be clear in my mind, so if we had voted in a town meeting an article that provided, say, $200,000 for a specific purpose, it would go into that account and then be transferred to its ultimate location?
Yep.
Okay,
And if it was for a capital item, it would go into the account right above it.
right, okay, that makes sense.
All right.
I'm sorry, I will sketch that up and email it out to everybody after the meeting, Bob. Sorry about that. And Bob, you had a question about the electrical permit, the
Yeah, I
revolving.
did. The electrical permit, what's the explanation for that? We're not getting any fees or?
Okay, so yesterday, I mean, I just got, right before the meeting, I got an updated one from Gail. And I'm hesitant to send them out right before the meeting because then you guys freak out that you haven't had time to look at them.
Yep.
So I will send this right after the meeting. So you have plenty of time till the next one. But in the new one dated 10/15, the fire inspection balance is now in the positive. It's $101.78. And the electrical inspections is balanced with 2,067 coming in and 2,067 going out with a balance of 0. So I think what you're seeing there when we have the negatives, it's the timing between the deposits and the payments.
Will there also be, it doesn't look like the transfers from the unused balances as of fiscal 21 have made it in here yet. Is fiscal 21 still open?
Yes.
When do we think that'll close?
As soon as all these other reports are done, they're all heading towards the free cash certification is almost ready to happen. It'll probably happen next week.
So the next time we get this report, we very likely could see those adjusted balances. Our previous year balance column will have numbers and our revised budget number will go up for, I don't know, 5 to 10 accounts, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob?
So I understand it, that electrical inspection, we should be getting fees when someone files for a permit, right? So that's something of a revolving account is, we have to pay the electrical inspector, but then we get fees that are part of our permitting process. So isn't that like a kind of a revolving account that stays flush by virtue of the fees that are collected?
The fees, the way we handle the fee, our fees are only collected to pay for the electrical inspection and the electrical inspector. We are not collecting additional fees from that.
But what does this account represent? When this account is spent, what is it spent on?
The electrical inspector.
Right, but don't we collect fees that counteract those expenses?
Yeah.
We collect fees in
Yeah, money
advance of
comes
the
in.
inspection.
Yeah.
And then the money goes out. So that's why
Right.
it's.
So we really don't have to fund this account essentially then, but it's
Correct.
still being tracked.
Right, through the revolving fund.
Right. The, may I say the page 8 of the state rural aid, I see there's a pretty good number of dollars coming into the town from the state rural aid. The law that was passed recently, apparently. How does that money dispersed into our budget? What's the plan for that?
Last year, I think in the middle of the year, we got like 16,000.
It says 59.3 in this document that I'm looking at.
What document are you looking at?
The expense report, page 8. The line is, I think it says 709.
Account 709. And it's state
This
rural aid
is
grant expense.
grant, yeah. 59,300. Yeah.
But this is
But
by an
they're gonna-
accumulation, I guess.
Yeah, over
years.
multiple years, right?
This is multiple years. And Becky's referring to 1 year.
Right. Well, I'm referring to where's that money? How's that money going to help fund our budget, or what's it going to be used for?
I will have to look into that account, Bob.
Okay.
I think this is the new money coming in that was more than anticipated.
Well,
Right.
also,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to ask, is this another situation like the tuition? I'm sorry, is this another situation where it's the school board that decides how this funding gets used?
It
how these
depends
funds
if
get used?
it's coming, this is the school account sheet, Fund 24. is
Yeah.
almost all school accounts, only school accounts, like the lunch is in here, the school gift account, school choice, all this is school money.
So then from that perspective, would it make sense we would have the same conversation with the school committee as we were having with the,
The choice,
yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember it.
except this might be, yeah, this might be more legitimate. I just have to find out from, yeah, I know it was 16,000 last year. I'm not sure. I didn't think it had gone up that much this year, so good to know.
Yep.
Susie?
Susie,
School committee is meeting tomorrow. I will send Bruce Turner and Dan Hayes an email to say that we'd like some information on this.
Yep, that'd be
Thank
great.
you.
The last thing I noticed, Becky, was we have on page 9, line 723, there's this COVID money. So that's about $21,382 approximately. So that money, or do we have a purpose for that money? Is that money still fungible going through this fiscal year, or does it
There
expire?
are
at
some
point?
other, that's what I have to double check. What I'm reviewing for Gail before we close out is to make sure that all the COVID, I'm sorry, that all the CARES entries have been made into the account.
Right, because
Yeah,
there's
there's a
300 in there. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Also, what's the ARPA expense on row 820 on the same report? Isn't that also American Rescue Plan?
I'm sorry, is that 710?
Yeah, it's on the same page, down towards the bottom, 820 is the account suffix. It's ARPA expense. It's 262. That's American Rescue Plan, right?
Yeah.
So is there
I'm
a
not-
plan?
I'm-
Do we know how?
Because I don't, I'm looking at the new one and it's not on, that line isn't here. I think that was grouped back in with the other account,
Oh, okay.
the
So,
original CARES. I know
So-
that they've been going back and forth between the school about the CARES money, making sure it's all accounted for. So that line is not on my report.
when you say your report, you're more, this is an updated report that's
Mhm.
a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ahead of what we're looking at here.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Okay, okay.
So I will focus in on all the CARES and ARPA money for our next meeting, so we can get answers for all of those questions, okay?
that'd
Thank
be
you.
great.
Anybody have anything else on expense report? I'm just making some notes. Make sure we get this on the agenda for our next meeting.
Great.
Next item we have is the ATFC. This is the annual, what's this, the Finance Committees, a state group of finance committees. They have their annual meeting. And I think you all saw some emails over the last week or two. There's a 3-part webinar where finance committee members from all Massachusetts town are invited to join or participate in this annual meeting. I don't know what the history is here within Shutesbury for this meeting. Maybe, I don't know, somebody that's been on this group for a while, or maybe Becky, you might know what our prior involvement is with this group. Just looking at the agenda for the 3-part webinar, it does seem like a lot of items that would be of interest to us finance committee type members. But again, just looking, and that's first, just looking for some, make sure everybody has this, as it was, I forwarded this all to you about a week or so ago.
Mhm.
And then maybe as a start, what's our history with working with this group? George.
Well, I want to let you know that Bob Groves and I both received an email from John Trickey from Pelham encouraging us to attend these. Becky, John is, everybody knows, Finance Committee in Pelham. He's involved in the finance committee, what's this? I don't even know what the ATF stands for, but
Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
yeah, that's right. So he's encouraging us.
Association of Town Finance Committees.
Yeah, he probably is involved in that group and he wants to make sure there's plenty of participation. So he's probably reaching out to everybody. But I did want to mention that, he did reach out to us and I just responded to him and said, thank you. I thanked him for thinking of us and we would talk about this.
Yeah, you see him, his name shows up on the board members or whatever, the steering committee or whatever for that group.
Yeah, so he's plugging it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know what the history is. I don't think the history is important. I think what's important is the content worth our time? And I think we benefit by training. I think we should participate and take advantage of any additional training we can get as a committee. Education is good. I cannot make the 21st because I have a personnel board meeting tomorrow, but I'm happy to attend any of these. I know we have cost constraints because of our budget, but it seems to me we should have 1 or 2 people at all of these. I think the third one obviously is the most relevant to a finance committee. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think the $25 covers all 3 of the webinars, I think. So I think you can. I'm sorry?
I thought it might have said $25 each.
Oh,
$5 member from an ATF member community, the virtual event fee. The virtual event fee. So it doesn't really specify. It just says the virtual event fee is $25 per finance committee member.
yeah.
If we're ATFC members, Becky, do you know, are we members of the ATF?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Question has come up before.
Paying dues, and if you check your expense account, you will see there is money deducted from your expense
Okay,
account for your,
I wouldn't know what it was. All right.
annual fee.
And we have $163 left to spend,
Yep.
at least as of 3 weeks ago.
So 6 people can go.
That per is probably not a bad idea.
What's the third session, George? Do you have that in front of you?
The third session is on November 4th, and it's budgeting calendar and other basics for finance committee members. So this I think is core to what we do.
I would like to participate in that one.
What time is the webinar at?
7 o'clock. They're all 7 to 8:15.
Yeah, October 21, October 28, and November 4. They're all 7 o'clock to 8:15. And we all have the information that we need to register.
We do, so we can register and then have them send the bill to Becky. Becky, you can cover that for us, can't you?
Yeah.
FinCom can.
Yeah.
Or I could teach you guys how to make a warrant.
Yeah, Bob, if you're comfortable blowing our budget by the beginning of November, then we're good to go.
I'm very comfortable blowing it on ourselves. That's.
Good.
We have to set an example for the other departments.
Oh, this is fairly modest amount of money for the training, which I think would be useful for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a paying member, we do have access to that manual that Susie's been reading and quoting from, and everybody could, we have it available. So you guys can do that. We just can't post it online, I understand.
Right, so it's not going to be a finance committee meeting or anything like that. It's just going to be us participating in extracurricular activity.
Yeah, we
Could
don't
be a
have.
fly on the wall.
Okay, so as a group here, we're all agreeing that we support as a group, any of us that wish to attend these
Well-
webinars.
The only thing is, you'll go over budget if everybody does it, but it's only by like $8. So I think you could transfer from the FinCom reserve. I don't think you should have a shootout to see who can't go.
Or if somebody wants to make a donation to the cause.
And I reread the notice. It is the $25 covers all 3 events.
Yeah, it's a series of events. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Such a deal.
Yeah, it is. That's a real great deal.
They have all other events where they used to have big luncheons and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I will definitely register for the 28th of October. I can't make the 21st, and maybe I'll register for the 4th, but I'll do the 28th of October. I don't know how relevant that is, but just to make sure we have at least one person participating in all of them, I will make that one a priority.
So which is, because I think you can sign up, if you pay the $25, you can sign up for all of them, but you guys are saying you're only going to go to one or the other?
I might go to the second too, but I'll sign up and then you register for each event or you just show up.
No, you register for the series, I believe.
Yeah,
And then they send you an invite the day of
I say, okay, good.
with the link. So I'm going to then I'm going to definitely do it.
Me too.
And Melody,
The
are you
last-
doing it too?
I'd like to go to the last one because that's the basics.
Okay.
So if you just register, you'll be open to all of them, so.
Yeah.
And then there's what
Always learn something. You think you're not going to, and you do. I've always, that's been my experience. There's always something to learn from all of these.
Yeah, I'm gonna plan on signing up.
Okay. Just let me know when you do so I can expect your, so I can make sure to pay for the different folks.
And if they ask us for our credit card and make us pay up front when we register, we can just submit the bill to you, right, Becky? And you
Yeah,
can
but I don't
reimburse
think they
us.
will. They usually have a way they'll bill the town or you can pay
Okay.
later.
Okay, good.
I
Oh,
think. I'll try
we
it
don't-
and find out.
We don't pay up front, or we do? I'm confused.
We'll see.
Okay, you're gonna need a username and password too.
That before.
Susie, do you know what?
Can someone sign all of us up at once?
I don't think so.
I think in order to get a link for the Zoom meeting, I would think we need to be individually. Yeah, the way I interpreted reading through this, I think they expect everyone to sign up individually.
Sounds like that's what we'll do.
But that is curious. I don't know where you get the usernames and passwords.
I think when we go to into the register, there's a register button on here, and I think when you go there, you probably they'll ask you to do all that, to set all that up.
It says it's required, and it says, but it's not clear how you get your username and password.
Yeah, I clicked on the register button and yeah, you got to sign in.
Okay, so you're gonna, I don't know if they have, maybe,
Somebody's got to give it to
George,
us.
do you want to reach out to John Trickey and ask him if each town is supposed to have their usernames assigned, or is it individual members? Do you want to follow up with John Trickey, George?
Sure, I can do that.
That'd be
I'll
great.
send them an
Oh,
email.
There's a create the account at the top.
Yeah, that's great. Just like every other website in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Top. I
You can
just
sign in or create an account. Yeah.
Yeah, create an account. I
You
didn't
can
see
provide
that.
your own username and password.
Good catch. I didn't even notice that.
Sorry. Okay, so everybody's good.
Yeah, so we'll all sign up ourselves.
And send me the bill.
Thank you, Becky.
Can I have your billing information? Because there's some other stuff I want to get online too.
Okay. Committee updates.
Building committee, we finally got the window, the sliding glass door for the school. And working on getting a couple of bids from a couple of local guys, Randy Roberts and Ron Natick. And I'm looking for, trying to get would like to bid on it, but it's a very small job. Should it's a one-day job, I imagine. If not, if any more than a day, it would be very, very, very few hours less, more than a day. So it's just got to be, the school would like us to have it done when there's nobody around. So it's just got to be scheduled. The school is closed. Other than that, I think that the building committee is having a hard time getting a meeting, acquiring a quorum, and I'm working on trying to get Mike Vinsky has volunteered to be on the committee. So what's the process? I mean, I want to get him, we can't have a meeting to vote him in. Becky, should we ask the select board to appoint him or?
You can always ask the select board to do that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to get a meeting together because I want to have the board, the committee vote on these bids and so we can get that job done. And the school, it looks like, when the roof is done, we're gonna have some work to do on the school, some regular maintenance, but the roofing is gonna be messy and it's gonna, it's better to wait for that to be completed before these other maintenance and painting and so forth gets addressed. But Becky, I was going to ask you about the HVAC and whether that's advanced from the last couple.
The one thing I'm behind on right now, Bob, the culvert situation should be totally resolved tomorrow, and I've been making a couple phone calls, but I haven't focused on it. But I'll be able to once the culvert's resolved.
And the other thing I noticed down at the school was that this was a mystery to me. I don't know what the explanation is, but there's a new shed for the recycling committee that has replaced the shed that we purchased, that the town purchased, the Bill Lamore shed. But both sheds are there now. What's the deal there? How did that all happen?
It was reported on last year when the Board of Health bought the recycling shed. But it didn't involve the finance committee. They bought that and the funds from the Board of Health were used for the other shed.
I see. Well, I'm looking at that shed with a little bit of interest because we might be able to put the slider in there. If RK Miles wants to get out of their warehouse. There's nothing in there at the moment that I could detect except for a stool. So.
Are you talking about the new
Bill
recycling
Lamore
shed?
shed.
The what?
Bill Lamore shed, the older one.
Right now, the Board of Health, it's empty, you said?
Looked pretty empty from what I could detect looking in the window.
Because I remember,
There was a stool in there, that was it.
Moved all their stuff over.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they had a big moving day in the end of the spring.
And so the other shed, is that full of trash bags and so forth, or?
They have stuff in it.
Okay, I'll have to ask. Maybe I'll call both of those.
Yeah, so if you talk to Catherine Hilton.
If there's any possibility of using one of the sheds for. I don't
Yeah.
want the damn thing to be damaged, so I don't want it in the school. Certainly, but maybe the lumberyard can just hang on to it for a while. They're getting antsy.
Or they could put it in,
Bullshit.
yeah, school shed.
I'll look into it. Best case scenario, the lumberyard holds on to it. If they break it, then they own it. If we have it and we break it, we own it. So that's the way it works,
Okay, any other committees? Capital plan still hasn't met, I don't believe, right?
Or not.
Correct.
Right. Do you have a meeting scheduled for the next couple of weeks?
I think it's in November, right? I'll tell you.
November 2nd.
Okay, I better put that down here.
Okay. School? Oh, go ahead, Jim.
The E911 notice was sent out. It was backed up and signed by Walter Tibbetts and Gail Huntress. And that went out on Town Announce. And so everybody should now be brought up to date on how E911 works and how you can get it to work depending on what kind of a phone you have.
Yeah. Yep, I think we all received
Yeah, you
that.
all got that. Yeah, that was within the last week.
Yeah. Okay. School?
School will meet tomorrow night.
Okay. Personnel Board
Tomorrow night.
tomorrow night. I think that covers it.
Right.
We want to schedule another meeting,
Sure.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That's the AR, that's the ATF thing. November 4th.
Yeah, but we're looking at November 3. November 3 is Wednesday.
November 3. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
Sure. Good with me.
November 3, our next meeting, 6:30.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Any other topics?
I have one that just came this afternoon. Uh-oh. So I'll just tell you about, and we probably should put it on the meeting for the next meeting, Jim.
Okay,
It's a letter from Steve Sullivan. Steve Sullivan forwarded a letter that outlines a list of put together by Jackie of how to utilize school choice funds this year as they start working on their budget.
okay, so you have a letter that you want to forward this to us, Becky?
Yes,
And then we'll add this to the agenda for our next meeting,
yes.
okay?
And school choice policy is on tomorrow night's school committee meeting, along with 19 other items on their agenda.
Jeez.
Have fun.
Mhm. Jim,
Becky, could we have a quick update on the Locks Pond Road culvert situation?
Yes, certainly. As of yesterday, all the check boxes were checked off on the National Grid list of things required to schedule the work, including the wire transfer of funds to pay for the job. And I was hopeful that I might hear something today. Jared Freeman and from Joe Comerford's office is pushing on his end, and I'm pushing Robert Lundberg directly, we went through all kinds of stuff trying to get the petition, had to go through legal to get approved, but still was done faster than if we had done it any other way, but barely. And the last 10 days ago, they requested all the conservation permitting information that had been sent to them in the spring. It all had, and then in May, and they requested it again. So I resent everything again. And it took 5 days for them to check off those boxes. So at this point, it's a matter of them scheduling the work. And so whether or not we can do it this year or not depends how quickly they schedule. So Joe Comerford's people are pushing as hard as they can to make it as soon, they said if they bounce other people, they should be able to schedule within a few days. And
That's the moving of the pole
yes,
in a few days.
but I can't see it happening before the 5th. I have reminded them that notice needs to go to the MLP, and their work, they have to connect with Verizon to have them move their wires when they move the pole. So I'm hopeful that a schedule is being hammered out, and I'm hoping to know that tomorrow or the next day.
Okay. Yes, we would like to know on the MLP.
Yep. And I should probably let Gail know we're this close because it's the closest we can get before actual scheduling. But I still can't give her a date.
Okay. So it looks like sometime before November 5th. Is that what you said?
What's today? Today's the 20th? Yeah, it would have to be. I also have to verify with the engineer and the contractors if they could still get the work done if they don't have it done by Monday.
Uh-huh. So this can't be a wintertime project. Now, and others, it has to be done sort of like the paving of the parking lot around the fire department has to be done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, because they only have permission to work in the water through December 15th.
Oh, brother. Okay.
Through
Yeah,
Con-
Bob. You're on mute, Bob.
Yeah, it's the capital planning's on the 2nd. That's an election day. Is there any issue there? Is there an
Not
election?
not in Shutesbury.
There's no election here.
we don't have any elections here.
Why not?
It's not our office.
Okay. George,
Okay, good. So
Bob, can you tell us this, what's the timeline on the roof at the completion of the roof project?
I don't know. Becky, you have to answer that question because I haven't been in the loop on that.
The roof project, they will be doing, they just did I think it was over the long weekend, Indigenous Peoples' Day. They did some more interior work. And they are figuring out a schedule for over Christmas vacation.
Perfect.
Oh.
Perfect time to do a roof.
Yeah,
Uh,
shouldn't expect
Hey,
any.
parking lot, the fire station the same week.
The fire
Thanks, fantastic.
station is almost ready to go. The prep work is complete and the contractor is working with Walter to set up a schedule of when they'll be doing it.
Oh, the weather's been beautiful.
So they're gonna have to put all the fire trucks and all the equipment, they're gonna have to take it out of the building during the paving, right?
They'll move it to the highway department.
Yeah, otherwise they can respond.
Well,
all
they
right.
probably don't need everything, but
Mhm.
the
You
main.
never know.
I'm sure they're thinking through that. thinking
Oh, I'm
through
sure
that.
Walter's got it covered, no doubt.
Mhm. All right, any other topics?
Red Sox.
Becky, just a quick follow-up. The only emails I got about capital planning scheduling were for November 16th and November 30th. And I see that those are the only dates that are posted.
You know
on,
what? I bet this is an old note.
Okay,
I will, thank you for double checking, AJ. I'm sorry.
okay,
Bob.
yeah. Those are the ones that are posted. So November 16th and then November 30th.
Okay,
Those are
I'll
the real dates?
confirm with Ellen that this is dead. I'll leave it on her door tonight so we can,
Okay.
if they.
Yeah, I'm available on the 2nd if she wanted to do that. I don't know if Bob is, but yeah, that's what I saw in my email. And I'm looking at the calendar now and that's what's posted.
Okay, I'm sure you're right. I had
Okay.
I put a sticky up when I was trying to put everything together.
So there is no meeting on the 2nd. That's what we're saying.
Right.
16th.
Nothing scheduled right now. Yeah, 16th and 30th at 5:30.
And those are already on the calendar, Bob.
Okay.
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 Any other topics?
Red Sox are getting smashed.
We have a
Don't
motion.
tell me,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. I'd second
Second.
that.
overnight is I.
Frontier eye.
Grove's eye.
Hemingway, aye.
Cashew eye.
Mosier, aye.
Walton, aye.
All right.
See you in
Okay.
2 weeks.
The record, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Close to a
Let's not
record.
get don't get used to it.
No.
It's
Yeah,
only-
things are gonna be filling up, I think, the next upcoming meetings. Oh.
Yeah, I
Becky,
think so.
yeah, actually, that's a good question. Becky, when you said you were going to send us a few things, could you send us, I don't know if I have the final meeting schedule for the budget reviews.
Oh, from that Susie sent me?
Yeah, if somebody could send me the final, I'd like to have a final
It's
copy. of it.
also in AJ's
Yeah,
minutes.
it's in the minutes from October 6th too.
Oh,
Like an
okay,
attachment.
perfect.
Okay.
I don't need it, Becky. Oh, but also I would like for my records, a copy of the letter that's going
I'm
to
gonna
the
go.
region. The one that we sent today, would you be able to send a copy of that to us?
Yes.
I'd like to have a copy of it just for when we go to the four-town meeting. I just want to have it at my fingertips.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Great.
Good night, everyone.
You all have a good
Bye.
one. Go Sox.
Yeah,
Go Sox. Go Sox.
Bye, good night.